up at this 6 o'clock hour, we're going to share the latest developments surrounding the assassination of Charlie Kirk, as well as the alleged gunman who is set to stand in court today. Then we'll continue following the closure of the Johnson Street shelter in Missoula and how the city plans to address housing issues ahead of the harsh winter months.
And this morning, we're taking a live look at Cook City. Seeing dry conditions right now, but surrounding mountains are looking at a little bit of a wintry mix, and we'll get into those details here in just a bit.
Wake up, you gotta rise to the sun, and here it comes, it's time to make the best of what you got to give. It's all about rising, and I wanna be there.
Good Tuesday morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is John Martin. We do have breaking news from overnight out of Billings, where Billings police responded to a report of a shooting near the area of 3rd Avenue South and South 28th Street. At around 8:30, police say that one male was located with a gunshot wound and taken to a local hospital. There is no shooter in custody at this time. Officers are continuing their investigation of the scene and following up on leads. If anyone witnessed the incident, you are asked to contact dispatch. We will have that number provided for you on our website. They're on your screen right now. Chief Meteorologist Tracy Smith joining us right now.
Hi there, John Martin.
How do you want me to address you? I always feel it's Chief Meteorologist Tracy Smith. And I just say, here's Tracy.
Whatever feels natural for you.
Well, what up, dude? I mean, that's the thing. But I guess I'm professional, so I can't talk like that. Tracy Smith, how's the weather looking like today as we start this Tuesday morning?
That is a great question.
I'm glad.
This morning we are looking at some pockets of moisture moving through south central Montana. You can see those pockets of little yellow, orange, and red just to the south of Lewistown in between Billings. We are looking at more moderate to heavy rain showers. You're also noticing a couple flashes of lightning, but just beyond the Livingston area, we are noticing a little bit of pink there on the map, and that does signify a little bit more of a wintry mix. So we're starting to see a rain-snow mix moving into the Beartooth Absarokas. Now here we do have a winter weather advisory that is in effect until midnight tonight. We're expected to maybe see 1 to 3 inches of snow at elevations 10,000 feet and higher. So the Beartooth Highway could see a little bit of impact as we go throughout the day. Here's a closer look at what we're tracking on the radar. You can notice those little pockets of pink. That's where some of our highest peaks are, looking at a little bit of a rain-snow mix. Gardner's seeing a little bit of light rain, and of course some rain moving across I-90 between Livingston and Columbus this morning. Current temperatures right now are mostly into the 40s and 50s, and as we get into the afternoon, we're expected to see some of our warmest conditions on the northern half of the state between the 70s to low 80s, while remaining a little cooler across southern Montana, northern Wyoming, and of course we'll get into all those details coming up here shortly.
All right, Tracy, thank you very much. The alleged shooter of Charlie Kirk is set to make his first court appearance in Utah today. That's when prosecutors are expected to file formal charges against suspect Tyler Robinson. The Washington Post reported Monday that the suspect appeared to have confessed to the killing in a small group chat on the online platform Discord, allegedly saying that it was, quote, me at UVU yesterday, end quote, that according to the paper. And with Charlie Kirk's memorial planned for this upcoming Sunday, President Trump has announced that he will be speaking at it. Of course, we will continue to bring you the latest. Let's take a live look right now at our nation's capital, where the president continues to crack down on crime across the United States. On Monday, he signed an executive memorandum to create a task force to reduce crime in Memphis, Tennessee.
This team will deploy the full powers of federal law enforcement agencies and enforcement generally to restore public safety and get dangerous career criminals off of our streets. We're going to get them off. In 2024, Memphis had the highest violent crime rate, the highest property crime rate, and the 3rd highest murder rate of any city in the nation. Other than that, they're doing quite well. Thank you.
President Trump said that the task force would be similar to the stepped-up law enforcement effort that he deployed in Washington, D.C. Tennessee's Governor Bill Lee has welcomed the federal help, which would include law enforcement from several agencies like the FBI and ICE. But Memphis Mayor Paul Young said he is not happy about the National Guard potentially coming to his city. The president on Monday said he's planning for similar action in Chicago next. The Federal Reserve Board meets today at a pivotal time as a new face will join the panel. Stephen Myron was confirmed at his Senate hearing last night. Myron is also keeping his job at the White House, but is going on unpaid leave. Fed Governor Lisa Cook is still on the board today, despite President Donald Trump's attempt to fire her. Many investors expect the Fed to announce a modest quarter-point cut. Meanwhile, many economists are warning of slow economic growth with a rise in unemployment and inflation. Looking at the roadless rule here in Montana. Established in 2001, this law prohibits new road construction, among other things, on the 58.5 million acres of inventoried roadless areas across the United States, or IRAs, within the National Forest System, 6 million of which are right here in Montana. The rule would protect areas for recreation and habitats for wildlife. We're talking things like headwater streams, elk habitat, and popular hunting and fishing areas. There is an ecological importance as it helps preserve large, unfragmented areas crucial for biodiversity and land health. Meanwhile, in Greater Yellowstone, Idaho has its own roadless rule for 9.3 million acres. Wyoming has 3.2 million acres of inventoried roadless Forest Service land. Washington is on the lower end with just over 2 million acres. Justin Dubale brings us more on this conversation.
U.S. Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins announced in June that the USDA plans to rescind the roadless rule, claiming that it will reduce wildfire risk and increase timber production on the nearly 59 million acres of roadless land. In a statement we received from a USDA spokesperson, they say in part, repealing the roadless rule is more important than ever. Roads improve access for wildland firefighting when timing is critical and lives are at risk. However, others disagree with the USDA's reasoning.
I pretty strongly disagree with that. The Forest Service has been studying, how roadless areas compare to non-roadless areas ever since to inform their management. And they've found that there's over 20 years of monitoring data, no difference in wildfire activity between roadless areas and areas that are not roadless.
Forest Service Chief Tom Schultz is quoted in the USDA statement saying in part, nearly half of our roadless acres, over 28 million, are at high or very high risk of catastrophic wildfire and are in desperate need of treatment. Eisen says the USDA's plan to allow for more road construction could be counterintuitive to stopping wildfires.
80% of wildfires are human-caused, and I think 90 or 95% of wildfires start within a half a mile of a road. So if you build more roads, you will have more wildfire.
Another reason the USDA wants to roll back this rule is to allow for more timber production on roadless land, which Montana has about 6.4 million acres of. About half of that would be open for timber production if the roadless rule is repealed. But due to the type of land it is, it would limit timber production.
We're not going to clear cut 6 million acres. It's just not going to happen. And a lot of these lands are high elevation. There's about 3 million acres there that are pretty high elevation, ice and rock.
If you would like to make your voice heard on this issue, the USDA is hearing public comment for another 4 days, which is September 19th. To make a comment, you can head over to regulations.gov or follow the story on nonstoplocal.com to learn how. In Billings, I'm Justin DeBell for NonStop Local.
Justin Dubale, thank you very much. We continue tracking the closure of Missoula's Johnson Street shelter, which happened earlier this month. On the city's end, the reason for the closure was because of financial pressure due to the end of federal funding and increasing pressure on the city's general fund. But what comes next? With one less housing option? For that answer, we turn to Ian Alvano.
Well, even though the Johnson Street shelter closed earlier this month and has since seen fencing being put around it for the city of Missoula, the housing sprint still continues, with one focal point being through the end of September to connect with people still looking for housing.
Still having conversations with shelter guests, folks who are eligible for the sprint via phone to make sure that they're getting all the paperwork they need, getting into housing. There's still future lease updates that folks have on the radar.
On top of this, one priority is checking in with people who have already found housing alternatives, which according to the city of Missoula is 60 people through either permanent or temporary housing. So far, over $164,000 has been spent through the housing sprint in things like food cards and moving expenses. Payments will continue to be processed through the end of September, where then city leaders, along with United Way of Missoula County, will then reevaluate.
I don't know that there will be any remaining funds, but if there are, the mayor's office will work with United Way staff to make a plan for placement of those final funds, kind of within the spirit of the housing sprint.
But what about looking past this month? The planning for winter remains top of mind as the city of Missoula works with frontline service providers to see what overflow capacity could look like in a few months' time. Executive Director of the Poverello Center, Jill Bonney, tells me that she anticipates beds at the Poverello Center will fill up as weather gets cooler. But right now, the focus remains looking at indoor options.
Really talking about what other locations when it's extremely cold could we, even if it's 10 people in a couple of places, it's 20 more people that could be indoors. We just want to find a place indoors for people.
And while a specific indoor housing location has not been confirmed or reached yet, the Poverello Center and the city of Missoula will use this time during the housing sprint to see what capacity can look like for the future within town. Reporting in Missoula, Ian Alvano, NonStop Local.
All right, Ian, thank you very much. Stick around, everybody. It is 6:11. On the other side of this break, it's already time to send letters to Santa Claus. We're going to tell you how to do that. And then coming up here next half hour, YVAS is sharing an update on the status of their animals following the recent evacuation they had to make due to a malfunctioning meth burn. Plus, they're also warning the public about scams looking to steal the support that they need.
And right now we're taking a live look at Missoula. We are expected to see a little bit of cloud cover get us started throughout the day, but it does look like some drier conditions will move in throughout the afternoon. Those details coming up.